just break this down. I know you're running a busy firm, and if you're doing it yourself, it's one way. If you're using your marketing team, obviously completely different story. But if somebody were to ask me, hey, look, I have just a little bit of time to do this each week, where should I start today, Casey? I'm going to say start with those core FAQ pages, because we know LLMs and search engines love concise question and answer formats because they provide those straightforward answers. And pick again the most common questions clients are asking, and specifically the clients that you want are asking. So typically for a lot of firms, that means staying away from cheapest and query searches like that. But instead, focusing again on the attributes from those ideal clients. And there's different ways to go about that. It's kind of a whole nother process if you haven't done that for your firm, but it's another exercise that I would recommend. And that's taking a look at your historical data, your best clients, getting that information together, and then seeing, hey, what attributes do these people share? And let's build a persona or look at what crosses over here and then use that to build upon. Because another mistake that you can make, and this is another mistake I see people make, is they're like, I'm just going to make all the content in the world. I'm just going to keep like pushing it and doing it. And at a certain point, that kills your intake because they're just fielding so many irrelevant calls and we don't have a gatekeeper in the way. So there's just a lot going on there. So after you've done that FAQ content, make sure you keep your practice area pages fresh. Again, I talked about this just a minute ago, but I know Google, and we're seeing it more with LLMs as well. They're looking for up-to-date information about legal services. And so you could just say, hey, look, each week I want to pick an important one for me. Today it's car accidents. Next week it's slip and falls, and then truck accidents, etc. But maybe you can add a recent, if there was a law change or a client success story, that's typically the easiest update or change you could make, or a result, and just update that page. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to add a paragraph to this page every week, and then it's going to be 3 miles long and nobody's going to read it, don't do that. Instead, figure out how I can add value and update that. And then number 3, add that schema markup. Use a generator to do that. Include your firm name, your address, your phone number, all of that stuff. That's good from a local SEO perspective. But there's also, again, different types of schema that you can use. And then you add local references. Okay, so this is a big one that is really, I think, missed from a lot of people that are trying to rank in locations. But if I'm trying to rank in a certain city, you should have things to driving directions from certain landmarks, or maybe you should mention resources that would be helpful to that person that was injured or needs a court in that market. And you can link to them and talk about where they're at. These geographic references are connecting the dots, and then they're understanding, hey, these things are related. They're semantically related. These people are obviously real. They know what they're talking about. Let's put these together. So even just spending like 10 to 15 minutes per task on this a week would have impact over time.